Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the New Cosmic Knowledge Channel. I'm Jeffrey Darty. Nice to see you. And we're here today for another morning mantra. And I just wanted to share with you something today that, sometimes we get in our spiritual life and we start to think that everything should be unicorns and rainbows. And a lot of times it is. But I've noticed that even in Agartha or Equestria or wherever it is that unicorns live, sometimes even in the place where unicorns live, be that wherever it may be, things still happen that require even unicorns to meditate. So sometimes even when you're living in happily ever after, which I am, sometimes when you're living in the middle of your great basic purpose, and I am, sometimes when everything's coming up roses for you, you still get to the place where things still happen. Fire alarms still go off in the middle of the night and disrupt your sleep. Things happen beyond your control that force you to change your schedules and your plans. Somehow, even though you're really living mainly in divine health, something happens and you get some bug, you get sick for a little bit, or you're trying to do a great helpful show and your technology doesn't want to work with you and cooperate as it should. So sometimes even in Equestria, I think that's where the ponies live. Sometimes even in Agartha, I think that might be where unicorns live. But sometimes even in the middle of bliss, since we're in this body, this soul, and since we're in a reality and a vibration and a place still that is controlled by the most part by forces that are, I don't know if they're outside our control, but forces that we haven't exerted control over yet. We will have things that come up in our lives from time to time that will actually help us, even though they're not enjoyable whatsoever, even though we really don't want to have to deal with them. We can sometimes use them as good checkpoints for where we are. We can sometimes use them as opportunities to excel, opportunities to show that we're learning, we're growing and developing. Doesn't mean that we're not going to be irritated. Doesn't mean that they're not going to be very real problems that cause very real concerns in our lives. But there's one thing that we know: as long as we're living, there's going to be things that happen in Equestria that aren't all unicorns, rainbows, and pixie dust. I mean, even Magenta Pixie talked about that with us yesterday. So when you get to that place where things happen, when you get to that place where stuff that's not what you want occurs, remember, even unicorns have to meditate. And I know I always talk about meditation, and there's a reason, because it gets you to the place where it helps you to separate, to evaluate, and to act instead of react. And I think that might be the key of the whole thing. So many times when we're not where we want to be spiritually, emotionally, we react. When we get to where we want to be and we get into the seat of self and we get to the place where we're really in control, then we start acting and not reacting. And that may be the key to it all. Even unicorns need to meditate so that they can make sure that they're not reacting. Stimulus doesn't hit them and they don't have an automatic, uncontrolled reaction that is less than ideal. But they separate, they evaluate, they take it in, and then they react according to their own will, their own divinity, their own sovereignty, their own freedom. And at the end of the day, doesn't everybody want to be a unicorn? Don't we all want to live in that bliss bubble? Can we? I think we can. As long as we remember that even in the bliss bubble, and even when you are a unicorn, sometimes you're going to need to meditate. So give yourself a break. understand what's going on, and I'll see you again real soon.